Hello, good morning again. This is Matt Mahoney. I am the host of Security Solutions. Thank you for tuning in. And today we have the owner and operator of Ariel's Executive Security Service, Hassani Synclair. Hassani, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello, my name is Hassani Synclair. I deal in the world of high threat security, which is my background, various places throughout the world, and decided to bring those things to the United States, especially in a time in which things are going in a more complex direction. Um,
Yes, sir.
my philosophy is bringing the best tailor-made solutions to a business in which there again we sit down with the client and ensure that whatever is required, but even more than that, some possible redundancies to ensure that that situation goes smoothly is entailed, on which we custom make each scenario based on the unique qualities of the assignment and making an assessed solution towards what that solution would be to fit into the environment or into the assignment that is being offered.
Right, right. So we're talking about executive protection mainly.
Executive protection. We also, there again, my philosophy there again is my backbone, which is high threat security in various places throughout the world. So it can be anywhere from uh, executive protection for a potential party. It could be an event planning scenario where the various points of security in cooperation with the inner workings of integration of law enforcement and things are entailed. So it always depends on what the environment or what the situation entails. So it can be yes, immediate executive protection for a family or a VIP, or it can be anything from a build out of security infrastructure for a business or a corporation.
Fascinating. Yeah, it's great. I mean, today's society, like I was saying earlier, EP is more and more necessary. The CEOs are now being attacked and killed on occasion. So, they never had protection 5 years ago, right? 10 years
Hmm.
ago, weren't the threats. So today, just heightened risks, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
So tell us more about your background. Where did you get your training from? What'd your come from?
Well, like my background is from I would say the three disciplines. Military, of course, is my beginning offshoot of understanding just the world in general, as well as the complexities of what that involves. Which of course took me into after 9/11, took me into OIF, and of course was with Third ID, which of course that was the quote unquote the entry point into Iraq. From there, went into that which is high threat security. I also have a background in law enforcement, so there again, understanding things on a municipal level, which all those
Yep.
things were integrated into my understanding of philosophy on a global scale. It entails, of course, understanding the environment, creating the solutions and opportunities for the client to know and understand what type of threats they have. And from that, what type of scenarios that we can do to mitigate and possibly eliminate said potential threats that may occur.
Right, right. Yeah. Sounds amazing. I mean, there's a lot of training that goes into executive protection, right? I mean, do you are there's a lot of certifications? I mean, are you worldwide or are you just concentrated most in the US?
No, I'm more of a worldwide scale type of person, because
All right.
anything can it's like a tailor-made suit. Everything plays its part. It may
Mm.
start the U.S., but it may there again go from U.S. to a global scale. We had a client that wanted the beginning of services in the U.S., but the project was a basically a globe trotting event where we had to secure it on a global scale, which means there's different cities, different countries, making those contacts in those countries,
Wow.
and basically trying to create a seamless scenario to get them from place to place and bring them back home. So, U.S. of course, there again, this is where we this is where we are, this is where we live. But also, like I said, it can go from there again from a client coming from overseas coming to America or vice versa. So it all depends on, the client and what is this overall goal is which we tailor make the services for.
Amazing. I mean, people don't understand that when you're going overseas, we're not in America anymore. you know, you can't just drive over a bridge into another state. When you fly into another country and now you're dealing with protection, I mean, are you using weapons? I mean, a lot of places are not letting us go in with weapons, right? I mean, how do you handle certifications like that?
Well, it's not necessarily certifications as much as connections. Some of the
Hmm.
friends that I've had in the past, they've gone on to do other pursuits and other different locales and slash up other different uh, organizations, companies, corporations. And with those connections, with those parties, they can reach out to even other security persons. Maybe the person doesn't necessarily want a whole entourage, if you will, of security with them in the US. So it's making those connections in other countries if doable or possible. And from that, of course, understanding that from a threat assessment type scenario, making those connections with those military slash law enforcement agencies in those countries, and then creating a package for that. So you're correct. You can't necessarily take
Yay.
what you do here and the requirements here is not the same in other countries, and you have to
Totally.
play it the best way possible to ensure that the client is protected, but also you have to play by and adhere to the restrictions of those countries and put together a package that's going to work to the overall goal. So
Yeah. I mean, half of these countries, the cops don't even carry guns. I mean, so they're certainly not gonna let us carry guns. I mean, I don't know, but, unless there's a special situation for these things, but, it depends upon the country.
mhm,
And right, you gotta have local connections with the law enforcement there because they don't like people operating in their countries without them knowing about it. I mean, shoot, I was a DEA. If I didn't deal with DEA in that country when I was going to, they'd lose their mind because
mhm,
it's all about CYA and and culpability and what's going on and political events, all sorts of things. So it's really key in making those connections in other countries and how to do it. I mean, the planning is must be immense because now you got to deal with transportation. How you going to deal with transportation in Africa or somewhere that's not a city out in the desert somewhere or wherever? You gotta have your own vehicles ahead of time. You gotta have people to do that. You gotta have drivers and you gotta have locals. Because not everybody we hire in your company are gonna be in. They're gonna not gonna be there, right? You might have to get some local talent to help you out, right?
correct. And that's the thing. There again, just even based on my background, some of the things are based on what they call black sites. These things technically don't exist.
Right.
So, a lot of connections and contacts had to be made with other countries in order to ensure that we got to and fro where we needed to go, as well as there again, I'm quite sure in the background and the background that the companies that we worked with in order to have the equipment that we needed in those countries, a lot of backdoor
Right.
deals had to be made in order to ensure that whatever the assignment that we was doing, we could do those things, including armed, but those were based on cooperations with those countries and as well as government to government. So you kind of got to take that same thing and then back program it the same way. You have to deal with the countries for where they are and hopefully make the right encounters with the right people and make the best case
Right.
scenario you can. And sometimes that also includes you can't necessarily I may not be able to be armed, but in the cooperation with those other countries, they have the qualifications and certifications for that particular country's mandate in order to secure the overall goal. For me, I always choose, though, however, is have a person that represents me. Therefore, my representation is there on ground as well with the client. But at the same time, through the threat assessments as well as the meetings that need to take place and everything else, to try to create that seamless approach to get them to and from where they needed to go. So it's always the same thing about. Oh. connections, relationships, and of course, not trying to buck the system, if you will, but how can we,
Right.
have the cooperation necessary to ensure the overall success is always should be the key goal towards any type of assignment, wherever that assignment takes you.
Absolutely. Like, like I was saying, if you're not cooperating with those local authorities, you're on the wrong end of of an event happen real quick. I know for me in DEA, like let's say I was going to Bogota or something, I would have to connect with that office and be armed from them. And
Yep.
they can arm me if I have
Yep.
to, if I wanted to. In an occasion I did, but most of the time I wouldn't need to. But yeah, I'd have to go through that office. I'm not gonna fly into Bogota with a weapon on me. It is not gonna happen.
Exactly.
But yeah, you have to be in the country, and then they access it for me, and then you're able to, arm yourself there, but it all depends, right? Whatever country you're in,
Mhm.
and, right, agreements are made with, the officials. So you mentioned black sites. I mean, you guys dealing with classified kind of, operations?
Yes, that's my background.
Interesting.
Did 18 years of that. One of the things we would definitely do with a client, there was this one client that didn't work out, but we was going to help him to build out his own very own black site here in the U.S. for the classification of what they were introducing. And in fact, I think it was a brother team or great friends. I can't remember. Anyway, we was going to help them to build out a black site. My responsibility and goal was to even find them the land to put it on, in particular here in Tennessee, that would create the optimal approach towards what they wanted to do. And as well as there again, based on the business background, what makes sense for that. And as well as potentially the very same land, you take the same land, you buy that land, it may cost you up front, but you take the same land and now you chop it up. And so you create a back approach for opportunity to not only secure land for your individual scenario, but also you can take that same land and chop it up. And that's the way my mind works. I'm looking at all case scenarios, and as well as being a black site, you don't want people to know
Mm,
you're there. So how do you go about that? So it's
right,
pretty much integrating every possible scenario towards the overall goal, towards the individual clientele's necessities, as well as overall goals towards achievement. So is it possible? Absolutely. You can deal with it in all those different levels and different formats. Even including there again, just starting off a system, whatever that system is, whatever location, how visible you want it, how not so visible you want it. So it's all
right,
doable. It's just there again, being able to sit down and understand their overall goals and needs, and as well as what requirements, what are they allowing and what they're not allowing. So it's, that's just like I say, that's the way my mind works. And that's what I look to bring to the client. What's tailor made, like a custom made suit. It's not meant to fit everyone. What is the
right,
most efficient and effective way to accomplish the goal in the parameters that's given, as well as some creative postures of what would a client even allow for us to do to facilitate the overall goal within the mandate, of course, the law, but at the same time, things can get out of control, and you got to deal with it, the way it requires for the client
right,
to be safe and get to where they need to go.
right, right. Yeah. So you had mentioned, black sites, and I'm sure most of my audience do not understand what black site means. So can you, to what extent can you explain, what that is?
Well, the open term is called special access programs.
Hmm.
What those programs are, of course, they're usually in cooperation with the U.S. government, as well as what does that entail with another country? What's being entailed in those countries? So, a black site is a site where you need special requirements of clearances. Most of them depends on what assignment you have. You may be able to obtain within a certain level of access to the remainder of the project. You may be able to get a secret security at bare minimum to
Hmm.
be quote unquote sworn into the project, but that only gives you a certain level of access to the remainder of the more sensitive parts of the project. Then you have to get from there top secret and top secret with SCI, which is special compartmentalized
Hmm.
scenarios within that project. So it always depends on the need to know, as well as where to go within that need to know. You create those levels of security in cooperation with the government to ensure that whatever needs to remain hidden is hidden. Parts of what type of access is government officials. Not everyone can just step onto a black site and just walk around anywhere. They have to have special privileges. They have to know the responsibilities of what that is, what they are allowed to see and what they are not allowed to see. And
Right.
there again, it depends on the level of security within those. That can go from a more of a freer approach, and then it can go to a totally compartmentalized approach where you can go no further, or else there again, even undesirable consequences can
Yep.
occur as a result of
Yep.
breaching over where you're not supposed to be.
So is it, when people hear black site, they assume it's with CIA, but can it be with any agency, or is it always with them?
I would say any agency. It's all about there again,
Mm.
what is written within their mandate, within their agreed upon mandate within the US or abroad. So yes, people think it could be as you say, CIA. Sure. I'm not going to disagree with that, but it also there again depends on what type of qualifications that is being required. I mean, it can be the other three-letter alphabet organizations.
There's plenty
So
of them.
exactly. So there
I
again,
was in
whatever
one
the
of them.
absolutely whatever the assignment and the requirement is for that, they label it to whatever that is, and whatever that contract of agreement is, that's the way it's labeled, and that is the requirements that's put within the parameters of that said contract.
Interesting. So you're currently doing that kind of work with these kind of government agencies?
I used to. I'm still
Okay.
open to it, but for me, I've stepped out of it. The running and gunning part for me is over.
Right.
That exciting world of that is over. Is done for me. The running and gunning, I'm not interested. However, I will definitely partake in it, and of course, enlist my guys,
Right.
train up the next generation, and build from there. Build and assess based on that reality. It's always been made open to those organizations, and of course, if they ever come knocking on the door, I'll be more than happy to answer if need be. Depends on the I guess the requirements and parameters of that said contract
Right.
and what are the commitments within it.
Yeah, I'm sure the training must be outrageous, to be in that kind of high speed level of operator level. So what kind of training gets involved with that?
Well, yeah, I mean that's assignment to assignment, and also there again, what tier level. Tier 1 is like the pretty much like the top of the top. Their training is a whole lot more, can be spook level. As they call in some of these things knock, which is, basically there again need, you're not going to know they're there, or like Delta Force. Delta Force, I mean, they can be around you every day smiling and doing the assignment, and you won't even know they even exist until situation goes in a not so great direction and they deal with it accordingly. So you can be there
Right.
doing that. Some of these things are more visible, which is more like I would say more like the tier two, where pretty much walking around, you're carrying, you're doing all these different things, within, that locale and, could be more visible. It could be a mixture. So it's always the same thing. It depends on the specificity of the contract, what is being required, and what are the necessary, parts to ensure that the, protection of the contract or the protection of the personnel within that contract is accomplished.
Fascinating. Yeah, that whole world of that level, tier one, black site kind of stuff is you don't hear much about it, right? I mean, obviously you're probably not supposed to know about it, but but now that you're mentioning it, it's like, wow, there's a whole nother level going on out there that we don't even know about.
Mhm.
Fascinating. Yeah. So that's great. Where do you see your business going in 2026? Like I was saying, the threats are just increasing, right? Every year.
Well, that wagers. I mean, you also got to look at the future. A lot of these things, pretty much people are going to what I would consider the artificial world.
Mm,
Um,
right?
the sad
I mean,
reality
AI.
is, for a lot of different things, people don't necessarily value the person to person approach. You have to deal with that accordingly as well. See where things go from there. A lot of different things, of course, integrations have had to be taking place, i.e., more of the cyber meets the physical. And then, of course, as things increase and there are more technologies made available, quite certain there again they will be looking in, bringing in some things that might not be having necessarily blood and bones, but the same goals are apparent within that. It's just one of those things. Some of these things are pretty much looking at the future, what is entailed for today, what can be done for today in preparation for the possibility of tomorrow. For me, I'm a more of a blood and bones type of person. I prefer people because, like I said, it's all about the characteristics of the heart and mind of the persons than it is just the technological standpoints in which um, is being ascertained or desired effect to be achieved. I desire the blood and bones still in the souls within those blood and bones to be still active within that scenario. So
So no
it's just one
robots
of those
or
things. Some of these things
drones flying
are
around in your
they're
business?
changing.
So no robots and drones
Uh,
flying around yet?
Not at this point, but yes, we are entertaining the possibility, especially certain things overseas, like some of these you talk about the running and gunning. Uh, you need certain things in place to there again see the bigger picture that what you can't see from a on the ground standpoint. And so do I see the
Right?
validity? Absolutely.
Mm.
But
Yeah, just the
sure.
tech alone in surveillance, obtaining visuals. I mean, now they have these drones that'll pop up behind a house and do a lap around the house like a guard does, and then go
Mhm.
back in. I mean, it eliminates a guard and walking around with a shotgun around the house instead of this drone can just go out and do it every 10 minutes or
Absolutely.
whenever. Right? It's just amazing tech that's going on.
Mhm.
So yeah, just fantastic stuff. So I don't know about any of that. That's way beyond my scope of of experience for things, but it's fascinating how the AI is creeping into all of our businesses. Especially in the analysis of threats. AI can just do it in a split second rather than us slowly going through the computer and looking at stuff. I mean, even you know. When you first go out on these uh these operations, right? You got to do it in
Mhm.
advance. The AI is amazing to analyze the routes and analyze the assets and analyze all this stuff. It's just it's fantastic.
Yeah, some of these things, they even go into a more of a kinda like a hybrid, even of a business. There was this one client that wanted the build out of a, scenario that does 2 things. The advance notice of certain things in the dark net, that some
Right.
undesirable, unknown organizations may be planning to, take advantage of that event, and in which
Right.
there again a week in advance or even longer, depending on the contract, you can have that to kind of read through the thread of what's going on, the unknowns going on, in potential of what you are advertising, as well as the second approach with that also is based on people coming in. It can monitor, for a business. It's all about, there again, what is the success of that business? What are the tweets? It kind of works together in tandem, from a
Right.
security defensive posture for an event, as well as even, like I said, for a client where they're looking to ensure the overall success, what's being said about that event, and so you're basically reading it and you put the apparatuses out there required to be able to gain that information at hand, live, where you can draw from
Right.
what's being tweeted, what's being said, so on and so forth. Does that get intrusive? Well, it is what it is. But the point is the overall goals, like I said, what is the business entails, or what is the individual, or is the individual or a entire base infrastructure. you have to there again gauge it based on the particulars and on the specifics of that particular assignment and what are the best ways to accomplish the overall goal. Whether, like I said, whether it's even a business, for them to be able to ascertain the data needed to know, what is being required and what is being said about that said event. And it does have drones along with that. So kind of funny that you brought that up, where
Yep.
they kind of like using the drones to see, and engage what's going on out there, and as well as successfully, use that as a filming towards whatever the promotions of said you know, events. So yeah, it all
Yeah.
works together.
Totally. Look, we as security professionals, we need to see our threats. We need to identify the threats, right? And drones are just another way to get up the eye in the sky
Mhm,
to see, because we can't. You can't get a bird's eye view anywhere else. I mean, it's sometimes that is the best view going. You
mhm,
can't, you don't want to go down an alley. You don't want to go down a certain area. Drones can go right in there.
yeah,
And it's amazing the uses. Police departments have them now, and private firms are using them. It's just
mhm,
amazing. Army, I mean, the military using them. You see these drones that
mhm,
launch right off the wrist,
mhm,
and now these things are going in caves and then wherever that we're not afraid to go into.
mhm,
It's fantastic.
yeah,
It's just, it's mind blowing what's going on,
mhm,
but it all goes into the whole risk analysis, threat assessments we got to do before we get into a situation.
mhm,
And like you said, people are talking, right? Well, today, the internet is live and chat rooms are live and communications are live. Whereas 10 years ago, we couldn't even access that kind of stuff. Right. So now today you can crowdsource and do all this other stuff and get the intel right in hand. It's amazing.
mhm, mhm. Absolutely.
Awesome. So tell me, what kind of challenges you find in growing your business in 2026?
Well, for me, I had a person there. We was a friend for a long while, and I asked him a question, and the question was, because he's a high end investor, so
Mhm.
he majorly dealt in real estate, and I asked him a question. I said, "So what is your philosophy towards business? What is your like requirements and so on and so forth?" And his answer to me was, if he couldn't see himself sleeping in it, eating in it, or working inside of it, he won't buy it. Either do it 100% correct or don't do it at all. And that's a
I get
philosophy I've carried for over a decade. Is I care about the high quality of it. A lot of those different types of business is not something that, of course, based on the discretion of the client. Um, some of these things are more word of mouth, I think. There again, you did a good job for so and so, and it opens the doors to others. What
right.
that challenge is, it's this is it's vice versa. Um, the challenges, of course, is keeping it within a certain level of expectancy where it's not, well, it's not some of these quote unquote bigger firms, if you will, that is about the quantity of numbers. And I'm not going to try to down talk those things. I have my own
Yep.
personal opinions, but I'm not going to use this as a platform towards that. I just care about the specificities and the high quality of it. It's all about custom, just like I say, a custom suit. It's not everyone. It's not for everyone. Or a
Right.
bespoke quality of life is not for everyone. And but that's the realm in which I tend to play in, and that's the only thing I care about is more higher end quality. To be able to hire the very best that the world of security, as well as potentially the integration of people coming from out of the military and gaining those people with that high level of experience to bring to the
Right.
table, and to marry that with the client's expectation, but at the same time the understanding of that those things cost. And from that, to understand that place, how could we create the environment and the atmosphere required to give them what is required for them, as well as hire the very best quality people to fulfill the mission and overall goal towards those assignments. So those things, like I said, it's pretty challenging, but I
Right.
think overall it's worth it. because there again, I care about more the higher end type scenario than I just care about the numbers and what does that entail.
Right. Yeah, you gotta go with quality. And, I'm sure it's probably a challenge for anybody to find good qualified candidates. But since you're kinda concentrating on the higher end situations and scenarios and clients, it's gonna be even more difficult, right? Because if you're looking for tier 1 operators only, it's gonna be a small pool of
Mhm.
qualified people, right? I mean, how do you even advertise for some kind of a like, a say, a tier 1 operation client, you know? Like, how
Uh, well, I think that's more like I said to me, it's like a more of a knowledge and experience, and on a personal basis as far as the persons that have access to that level of clientele. There again, that can be, like I say, sticky. It can possibly run into the realms well, I don't want you to know about those because those are mine. So I'm not here to
right?
tear down someone else's castle. Um,
Mhm.
with that being
Mhm.
said, I'm a more of a integration type of approach where we all work together. It's kind of like even what Scripture says about the fish being caught, and it took a whole bunch of boats to catch so much of a catch. Um, how well do people embrace that format and that philosophy is entirely each individual based on their
Right.
inner voice, and what that means in regards to what they choose to do with that is entirely up to them. But like I said, that can be challenging, and it can be kind of like a one what's the word I'm looking for, a uh, one avenue door. People want to be able to join into your pot, but they don't want you necessarily to be a part of theirs. And then, of course, there again, you want to be
Right.
generous to them, but they don't want to be generous in return. So
Mhm.
it's just I don't believe in cutthroat. I believe in an opportunity that benefits everyone. That's why for me, I tend to want to hire the very best. And even if I can hire the quote unquote the top tier, train the next person's up that has the you see they have the right mindset, and the as well as the humility to learn from what they don't understand, and to be able to process that and adapt. Is always a necessity. And there again, being on the battlefield is a 360-degree event, and some stuff coming from overhead and some stuff on the ground.
Right.
You have to adapt and overcome whatever that is, and as well as, take the licks when you get them. So it
Mhm.
always depends on, those different things that can make, clientele a little complicated and difficult. Of course, clientele there again, they may be afraid that, someone coming in that's new, that whatever type of, NDAs and agreements that's required, that, the fear of the unknown,
Yep.
bringing someone in new, that can be a complication within itself. But it's
Yep.
just one of those things that
It's
there
gotta be
again
trust.
exactly. And
You gotta
I
trust
don't
in the
necessarily blame
organization.
them. Yeah, I don't blame
Yeah.
them. It's like, I get it, but at the same time, you have to start somewhere, and, give the person opportunity. So it's always about, it's an opportunity driven more than a, what they call it, out of 100 get one type of thing. I mean, that's partial,
Yep.
but I believe in quality will attract quality. And if a
Mhm.
person is looking for a high end quality scenario, it'll resonate with them. But other than that, you just have to be patient.
Yeah. So do you have a training facility, where you train all the people up in Tennessee
I
or
would
where?
I would really love to. I think some of those things I kind of extend out to others, but
Okay.
I like the concept of the having and there's some guys I'm very interested in one day doing that with. Because
Yeah.
they carry my philosophy. I care about the quality of it, and weeding out. Um,
Totally.
that's hard
Yeah,
for
you
some people. They will carry
yeah.
around a bad egg until it gets bad.
Yeah,
Even
until it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late after that. I
Yeah.
don't believe
Yeah.
in that. There again, you work with the person. You hope that the on briefing will give them a key indication that if they need to make some course corrections,
Right.
and in the hopes that, they will have a very successful, career and encounter with what you're offering. And if they don't seem to be able to get along well with others, clientele to get always getting a bad vibe from the way they are, interacting with them, You have to there again be quick to address the scenario, and if that doesn't work out, you have to be willing to remove them, not because you're saying that they're necessarily a bad or a good person. Maybe they're just not a great fit for your organization. So you have to deal with it based
That's
on
it.
that.
You know, it's got to
Mhm.
fit. It's got to fit the operation. It's got to fit the mold. You know, it's not for everybody.
Exactly.
You know, I've heard that expression everywhere. It's not for everybody. That means it's a small amount that are going to qualify. But yeah, you know, only the best.
Yep.
All right, great. So that was amazing information. I mean, I don't know, a lot of that stuff sounds classified. If I don't want to bug you too much about it. You know how much we could talk about those kind of things, but
Right.
it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. That whole world, that high level, you know, backside kind of level of security is fascinating. You know, and you really don't hear too much about it. Probably by design, right?
Right. Well, yeah, that's why they call it black. It's supposed to be hidden and no one knows about it even exists. So, yeah, just, it's, like you said, it's definitely something that based on legal documentation as well as, of course, the nature of both the contract as well as the agency in which you're dealing with. Those specificities are there for those purposes and reasons, and like you said, they're pretty much, classified. Hey, you sound like a pun or a TV show. It
Right.
is what
Oh,
it is.
totally.
I
No,
mean, yeah.
all of that's right. All these, you know, spook shows are all about black sites and stuff. And
Mhm.
a lot of it is, some of it's based on truth, and most of it isn't, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's all about the imagination. But yeah, but
Mhm.
reality is reality,
Yeah.
and you know, you know, firms like yourself take care of the business. It's interesting.
Absolutely.
All right, sir. So tell us where you can find you, where people can find you, and your websites and your contact info.
Okay. My website is REL. That's R as in Romeo, I as in India, E as in Echo, L as in Lima, S as in Sam, and service. So it's RELES service.com. Take that same thing and put H Sinclair, that's S is in Sam, Y is in Yankee, N is in November, L is in Lima, AIR Romeo at RELES service.com. Telephone number I will use right now until I can continue to remember my other phone. Uh, is area code 615-707-0173. If I don't answer, please leave a message and I will get back to you at my earliest convenience. But those are the
Cool stuff.
three points and parts that I would give person as far as personal contact slash business of contact.
Outstanding. All right, sir. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Fascinating material, all about that kind of information. You really don't hear much about it. So fascinating. You know, people reach out to him if you got any information for him. You know, hook him up. All right, Hassani, you take care, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, great. Thank you. You have a good one.